Okay, and your test date I have changed to the 9th March. I think 9th
Yes,
March.
sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
In the class timing also 5 o'clock the Tuesday. So please no other changes. Okay, so that is the date, final date. Already I have communicated for the test. So today we'll discuss about the integer programming. This is included in the second test. Okay, integer programming. So integer programming mainly. So we'll discuss some linear programming problem where the decision variables are integers. Okay, integers. Especially they are integer, non-negative integers. Please keep your mic in the mute mode. Okay, so that you can listen. Or otherwise there will be problem. Okay. So the decision variables are integers. Mainly, we'll discuss two different methods for this integer programming. One is the cutting plane method, that is the Gumari cutting plane method. Another is called branch and bound method. Okay, but the branch and bound method is a very popular method for the computer science students. So I will discuss both the methods. So in details, so please go through. Okay, so let us know what is the statement of a linear integer programming problem. That is a linear programming. When you say integer, the decision variables are integers. So what is the model? Model is a linear programming model. So objective function is either maximization type or minimization type. That is z equal to summation over j varies from 1 to n cj xj, the linear function. Subject to the constraints. Constraints can be less than equal type, can be equal type, can be greater than equal type. Okay. In general, for minimization type, we'll consider greater than equal type. For the maximization type, we'll consider less than equal type. These are the constants. Okay. So summation over j varies from 1 to n, aij xj less than equal to bi. Generally, bi is a non-negative. Okay, non-negative integer, of course. The decision variables are integers. What are the decision variables? Xj, j equal to, so that value can be 0, 1, 2, 3 non-negative integers, but cannot be negative. 0, 1 whole number. So they are discrete variables. Okay, discrete variables. And this cost coefficient like Cj, technological coefficient like Aij, and the Bi, right hand side vector, the constant Bi, in fact, all are integers. If you find in some linear programming problem, some are fraction, suitably multiply some whole number to make it integers. Okay, right? If it is suppose say Aij equal to half, multiply to 4, 6, so that you will get. But I think you will multiply 2, then it's enough. Okay, because there are several, so you can know how to multiply a whole number to make it integer. That is also. But please remember, before applying the method, you have to make all the parameters like Cj, Aij, and Bi to integers. If it is given integer, fine. Not integers, then you have to make it integer. Okay, this. So what are the methods? I told the cutting plane method, branch and bound method. Branch and bound. So we'll branch it first, then we'll put some bound to the decision variables. So using that, we'll find the solution. We'll discuss over that. So application, where is the application? Application, something like transportation problem, we'll discuss later on. Assignment problem also. And the transportation problem is an integer programming problem. Assignment is a special type integer, that is binary programming. Jobs of scheduling, manpower planning, production planning, transshipment problem. These are the application of integer programming. So we'll discuss about the cutting plane method, Gumari's cutting plane method. So this was developed in 1958. So at first, an integer programming problem simply we solve using linear programming method. An integer programming problem solved by linear programming method. If you find the decision variables are integers, nothing to do. Or if you find the decision variables are non-integer, then this process, this cutting plane method, is applicable. See, we have solved several integer programming, linear programming problems. Sometimes we find the decision variable is half, sometimes 2, sometimes like that. So if it is all are whole number, all the decision variables whole number, so non-negative integers, so then is over. The solution is optimal accordingly. Integer solution you got. But if it is fractional, we have to put some additional constant as cutting plane. That we will discuss. Okay. If the optimal solution happens to be integer, terminate the process. Otherwise, secondary constraint will be added that will force the solution toward the integer. These constraints can be developed as follows. Okay, how will develop this constraint? See, according to the simplex table, this is the simplex table. Let us say maybe the initial table, maybe the optimal simplex table, maybe some intermediate table. So a problem having n number of variables and m number of constants. Let us say the constants are all less than equal type. Objective function is maximization type. So we introduce slug variables. There are say m number of slug variables, n number of actual variables, altogether m plus n number of variables. Okay, the slug variables are basic variables. Okay, so this table is made for a problem having a maximization type objective function. The constants are all less than equal type. Right hand side b1, b2 up to bm, they are non-negative, and so all the constants I have told less than equal type. Okay, so with respect to the less than equal type, we include slug variables. Slug variables are the basic variables. Basic variable plus non-basic variable, that is the total number of variables. Okay, this. So accordingly, so we have here, this is completely hypothetical. Let us say the basic variables are x1, x2 up to xm. Never you will find in this manner. x1, x2, these are the basic variables. Okay. So non-basic variables will put different name. Non-basic variable w1, w2, wj. See, basic variable, non-basic variables. Okay. Now, see, you have qualified JE, two category students. Qualified JE, non-qualified JE. Means not qualified JE, non-qualified, qualified, non-qualified. Two categories. So here that is total this plus that equal to total number of candidates. So same thing here. So these and many basic variables x1, x2, xm, they are the basic variables, and these are the non-basic variables x1, say w1, w2 up to wn. Okay. So and with respect to this table, z1 minus c1, z2 minus c2, and so on, say zn minus cn. These are the indicator row elements. If it is optimal simplex table, then z1 minus c1 non-negative, z2 minus c2 non-negative, zj minus cj non-negative, and zn minus cn non-negative. Okay, and z bar is the value of the objective function. This. So, but what will happen to beta 1, beta 2 up to beta m? So, what is the guarantee that they are integer? We cannot say they are integer. If it is happen to be integer, then no need of thinking anything, we stop here. Over. We got a solution, optimal solution. This beta 1, what is beta 1? This beta 1, the basic variable value x1 equal to beta 1. Let me say beta 1 equal to 3, integer. X2, beta 2, let us say 5, integer, and so on. Say xm, let me say the beta m, that is not becoming integer. Let me say 5.5. What is the integral part? Integral part is 5, fractional part is half. Okay, this. So in this manner we decide. So if all beta 1, beta 2, beta m, they are all integer, whole number, then this is the optimal solution. And what about zj, cj, zj minus cj, they are non-negative or j. Okay, this. Okay, this is given here. Zj minus cj non-negative, j varies from 1 to n. Xi, the ith basic variable value. This ith, jth, say non-basic variable. Generally in this table, what is the value of the non-basic variable w1? Can you say anything? What is the value? Anybody? Non-basic variables are always 0. Basic 0. Okay. Basic variables, it is given in the right hand side because we are fixing this n, the non-basic variable 0. Rest are the basic variable. We are computing, solving the system. The linear equation, linear system. So size is what is how many rows? There are m number of rows. How many column? M plus n. So we have to set n columns, n variables to 0, any n. There are several ways, as you know. Okay. So how many will be 0, how many will be non-zero, and you have to apply the permutation, combination, whatever may be the combination. So and you will calculate. Okay, this. So with respect to this table, we have like this. So let me say among this beta 1, beta 2 up to beta m, I am considering the ith basic variable. What is the ith basic variable? Xi. What is its value? It is beta I. That is non-integer. Non-integer means it has a integral part and it has a fractional part. Okay. So, and why you are considering like this? Let us consider the ith basic variable is non-integer, not big. Integer, fine. So, with respect to this, if there are few 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 such basic variables are there non-integer, then we have to select which basic variable has largest fractional part. The largest fractional part is a thumb rule for us to select. Largest fractional part. One has fractional part is 1/3, other has 2/3. So 2/3 is more. So 2/3 is better. Okay, that we will consider. One is 1/4, another is 1/3. 1/3 is better. So we will consider that one, and so on. Okay, this. So with respect to this, so we considered in this manner. Let xi be the non-integer, be its value equal to beta I, has the largest fractional part. That is, we write here xi plus summation over j varies from 1 to n alpha ij into wj equal to beta I. So how to write? So this is the rule we write. You see here. Initially, these constants are a11, a12, a13, and so on. Initially, after few iterations, the value is changing. Let me say after few iterations, when you are finding the optimal solution of the decision variables, that is beta 1, beta 2, beta m, the corresponding aij is becoming alpha 11, alpha 12, and so on. Say with respect to first row, we can write in this manner: x1 plus alpha 11 into w1 plus alpha 12 into w2 plus alpha 1j into wj, and so on. Say finally plus alpha 1n into wn equal to beta 1. Right? Similarly, second one, x2 plus, that is w1 or alpha 21 in w1, alpha 22 in w2, and so on. Say alpha 2n in wn equal to beta 2. Right? Same thing we are writing here. Same thing. So xi, ith basic variable, summation over j varies from 1 to n alpha ij into wj equal to beta I. Okay, so I can make it still bigger. Is it all right? Visible? Visible? Hello? Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Many are asking, so this problem, that problem. Really, are you solving problem? Are you writing code? See, solve problem as well as if there is enough time, because people say that we have enough time. Okay, so if you have enough time, write code and keep it ready. And if you write code and you show me it is working and you discuss with me, so maybe that is your assignment. Assignment is optional. So that I will take, I will discuss with you and I will verify it is working, and I will verify that it is you have written yourself. Okay, so that you will get some credit. Okay, what is the credit? Maybe you are supposed to get A, and with this few mark, maybe you get excellent. So that times I may consider. Okay, if I am satisfied. Okay, that's all. Okay, because I have, even though attendance is there, this that, so I will not be able to check that one. Only everything depends on your viva mark, the test mark, etc. And many of you, those who have missed the test, okay, so you could not appear and you should write. So why you have not appeared? Maybe I will take a second test, third test. Okay, that may, or may take a viva separately. Okay, so that will be final. If you are not, so 3 tests I have taken, you have only appeared 1 test. Okay, I will see whether you have passed or not. If you have passed, you will get P grade. If you have not passed, then you will get the grade accordingly. So, but you are supposed to appear all the 3. And if in case somebody has not appeared, so out of 3, 2, still I may consider, but out of 3, 1 or 0, no test, so it will be very difficult to consider. Okay, right? So, but what I'm saying here, this is your grade, you should return. So if you are really excellent, you try to return the excellent, that you are always excellent. Okay, not that I will make it. I will not make it. So I will only check here that whether you are getting excellent or not. Okay, so that's all. Okay, so see here this. So now we'll consider the numerical value beta I. As you know, I have told beta I is not a whole number. This has some integral part and this has some fractional part. So mathematically, we will write beta I. That is the integral part of beta I plus fi. What is fi? Fi is a fraction which lies in the interval 0 and 1, is less than 1, greater than 0. Okay. And since the right hand side beta I is always positive, so this integral part of beta I will be always also 0 or positive. Okay. Similarly, this alpha aij, it is now becoming alpha ij. This, so alpha ij you can write alpha ij integral part plus fij. This alpha ij integral part, it can be negative also, it can be 0 also, it's positive also, but the integral part of beta I is always positive or 0. So, and fij, what is that? This is, so since already given the beta has a fractional part, so we will write in this manner, this fi is less than 1, greater than 0. But with respect to beta I, we are calculating alpha ij. Alpha ij equal to integral part of alpha ij plus fij. So this fij less than equal to 1 and greater than equal to 0. If let us say alpha ij is integral, okay, so integral part is integral and that is the fij will be 0. So this you can write in this manner. Okay. Now some example. So generally we are using the greatest integer function. The greatest integer function, that is k, is less than or equal to integral part of k less than or equal to k. Okay. 2.5. What is the integral part? 2. Fractional part is half. Okay. 3 and minus 3.5. What is the integral part? Minus 4. And fractional part? Fractional part is half. Right. So 5, integral part is 5, integral part is 0. Minus 5, integral part is minus 5, fractional part is 0. Okay, right. This clear? Any doubt? So I will not repeat again. So this beta I happened to be fractional. Okay, so that is the reason we are doing like this. But with respect to beta I, we are calculating alpha ij. So this can be integral, this can be fractional also. So that is the reason this fi less than 1, greater than 0. But this fij less than 1, greater than equal to 0. You see, this there is equal sign, but here there is no equal sign. Okay, this. Okay. Now what do we do? So we have already taken, see here, I will repeat again. So xi plus summation over j varies from 1 to n alpha ij double j equal to beta I. Now, so if you write beta I equal to integral part of beta I plus fi, so we'll substitute that. Similarly, if you want to write alpha ij equal to integral part of alpha ij plus fij, you substitute. So if you substitute, we'll find like this. Okay, xi plus summation over j varies from 1 to n. Instead of alpha ij, we'll write here the integral part of alpha ij plus fij into wj. So instead of fi, we'll write so integral part of beta I plus fi. Okay, is it clear? So you start substituting. Now all the integral parts you take to one side. Okay, so xi, let us say if I'm saying integer, so the beta I in the right is we are bringing to left. So and this is integral and this with the wj. So summation over j varies from 1 to n alpha ij wj, that is integral. This is integral. First part is integral. Second part is integral with a minus sign. Third part is positive. So all three are integral. And what about in the right? Right you will keep fi is fractional and fij is fractional. So fij into wj summation over j varies from 1 to n. This fractional. Okay. This is integral and this is the integral and this is, as you know, fractional, but they are together equal. Why equal? Because sum of this, you know, this is a plus term, this is plus term, this is negative term, altogether it is integer, and the right hand side this is a positive term, this is negative term. Okay, together they are integer. Left hand side is integer, right hand side is integer. Okay, That is the argument. So now for all xi and wj, left hand side is an integer. Hence, right hand side is also an integer. Do you believe it? Okay. So we believe it is also integer. So now forget about the left hand side, right hand side. Right hand side is what is that? Fi minus summation of j varies from 1 to n, Fij wj. This quantity is right hand side. Fi minus something. Fi minus something. Okay. This is less than or equal to Fi. Do you believe? Because in negative term, Fij all are positive, wj is positive, non-negative. So this quantity is what? This is positive, Fi minus some positive term. This is less than or equal to Fi, right? And this Fi, since it is fractional, this is less than 1. Okay, Fi less than 1. And what? This quantity is happen to be an integer. Fi less than 1 and integer. Less than 1 and integer. Then what is the value we will take? This quantity is less than 1 and integer. What is the conclusion? It has to be so either 0, minus 1, minus 2, etc. etc. So we'll say this is less than or equal to 0. Okay. Okay. That's all. So what is the conclusion? So Fi minus summation over j varies from 1 to n, Fij wj less than or equal to 0. Okay. 0 or in negative, so we'll say less than or equal to 0. Okay. This in equation. So if we simplify further, you can write summation over j varies from 1 to n, Fij wj greater than or equal to Fi. Okay. Fi is positive. See, primal dual. We have this type of constraint in the dual, not in the primal. Primal in less than or equal to type, and dual we have greater than or equal to type. This type of constraint. Okay. So this, what you do? Multiply minus sign. If you multiply minus sign, the inequation is changed, right? Okay. And we add a slack variables. Summation over j varies from 1 to n, Fij wj plus si equal to minus Fi. Okay. This si is the slack variable. So the slack variable, now what is happening? It cannot be negative. Generally slack variables are basic variable, has to be non-negative. But this looks like it is a, if in the account of the duality theory, it looks like we are considering something like an infeasible problem. But it is not an infeasible problem. Okay. So as because the slack variable is becoming negative, that due to that reason we are saying infeasible. Okay. So this fractional chord, this whatever we have done, this one, this fractional chord may be added to the last simplex table what we have formulated. The problem is solved by dual simplex method. This procedure is repeated till we find an integer solution. Now question is, how do we add, where to add, and how to proceed? Where to add and how to proceed? Okay, this. Okay. So nothing is there, only this much. So now I will discuss a problem. Okay, this is a problem. So maximize z equal to 5x1 plus 4x2 subject to x1 plus x2 less than equal to 3, 4x1 plus x2 less than equal to 8, x1, x2 are integer, 0, 1, 2, 3, okay, etc. Integer. But if you, the last line, if you simply, the last line, if you drop, all are non-negative, you will say, we apply the linear programming method. But since it is integer, we apply integer programming method. But integer programming method solve the problem by simplex method. If you find the solution is integer, you should stop. Otherwise, a fractional chord, a cutting plane is formulated according to the rule what we have discussed. Okay, this is the problem. Now, those who have already solved this type of problem, so I'm formulating a table. This table is known as the condensed simplex table, initial, that is initial table, initial simplex table. Okay, right? So what are the basic variables? Basic variables are x3, x4 because they are the slack variables. Okay, you can write also s3, s4 are the slack variables. All the variables I am writing. So like x1, x2, x3, x4. Okay, this. There are altogether 4 variables. 2 are the slack variables, 2 are the actual variables. So basic variable, non-basic variables. Okay, this. So this is the initial simplex table. So anything you need here is all right. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
after the initial simplex table, so we will compute next table, next table. So with respect to this problem, we have this is the next table. Okay, right? Say I will not explain, so you know it, so I will not explain. So you can verify also. If any mistake, we'll discuss. And finally, why it is not okay? Finally, we have the table like this. Okay, the last table, simplex table. Okay, so see initially the value of okay, value was 0. Value of 0 is the value of the auxiliary function 0. Then we have got value of the auxiliary function is 10. Okay, then what is the value? Value of the auxiliary function is 41/3, more than 10. Okay, this. So, and we said it is optimal because the Zj minus Cj, Z1 minus C1, that is 1/3 positive, and Z2 minus C2, that is 11/3, that is also positive. Okay, so basic variables are x2 and x1, non-basic variables x4 and x3. Okay, this is the value of basic variables. Okay, so what is the value of the first basic variable? X2, 4/3, x1, 5/3. So this x2 becoming 4/3. So there is 1 plus 1/3 is 4/3. X2, that is x2, and x1 equal to 5/3. 1 plus 2/3 is 5/3. So which is the largest fractional part? X2 or x1? Certainly x1. So x1 is selected. So if you are selecting x1, how to write? We will write x1 plus 1/3 into x4 minus 1/3 into x3 equal to 5/3. I am repeating, x1 plus 1/3 into x4 minus 1/3 into x3 equal to 5/3. Okay, this. Okay, x1 plus 1/3 into x4 minus 1/3 into x3 equal to 5/3. Now, using the rule earlier, if you are using, so how to write? So the fractional cut. So you see here, I'm just again this one. Actually, this one, the summation of our j varies from 1 to n, Fij double j is greater than equal to Fi. This we have to put in this form. Okay, j varies from 1 to n, Fij double j greater than equal to Fi. Okay, this. So it has to be greater than equal to Fi. Okay, so now how to write? X1, there is nothing. So here 1/3 into x4. What is the fractional part? 1/3. 1/3 is there. And minus 1/3 into x3. What is the fractional part? Minus 1/3 means you will write minus 1 plus 2/3. Okay. So integral part of minus 1/3. How much it is? Integral part of minus 1/3. The bracket function we are using minus 1. So minus 1. So then it will be minus 1 plus 2/3 x3 equal to same thing. Okay. So 2/3 into x3 plus 1/3 into x4 is greater than equal to 5/3. What is the fractional part? 2/3. This, right? This become the constant. Now multiply minus sign. So if you multiply minus sign, minus 2/3 x3 minus 1/3 x4 is less than equal to minus 2/3. And you include the slack variables. So slack variable, let me say S1 or something else. Okay, let us say S1 is slack variable we are using. So then what you should write? So this, we are using slack variable with respect to this. We'll write minus 2/3 into x3 minus 1/3 into x4 plus S1, okay, equal to minus 2/3. So if it is a slack variable, this constraint we will just include in the last simplex table. So last simplex table, what are the simplex table? The last simplex table, okay, which is optimal. So insert one more row. There are two rows, x1, x2 and x1. The basic variable row x2, basic variable row x1. So there's two row. Now you include one more row, that is basic variable row s1. Okay, so there will be three because one additional constraint we have included. That is our cutting plane. So with respect to that, so sorry. This last one you can see we have included one more h1. So h1, that is minus 1/3 into x4, minus 2/3 into x3, and minus 2/3. Okay, this. So this is the table. See the table. This table, simplex method we are applying. So can we apply primal simplex method here? Can we apply? No, because all the zj minus cj elements are non-negative, and there is one element in the right that is negative. So we are supposed to apply dual simplex algorithm, dual. So some of the basic variables are negative. So S1 is a basic variable. The value is supposed to be non-negative, but it is becoming negative. So we say it is infeasible. So S1 is minus 2/3. So now what will do? So only one. So this is selected. The third row is selected. Third row means S1 is selected. Okay, third row with respect to third row, S1 is the basic variable. This is selected. This is the departing variable. This will leave. Which one will enter? Either x4 or x3. How to know? So we will calculate in this manner. 1/3 divided by minus 1/3, its absolute value. 1/3 divided by minus 1/3, its absolute value. How much? 1. Then 11/3 divided by minus 2/3, its absolute value. So 11/3, they got cancelled. That is 11/2. That is 5.5. And here it is becoming 1. Which one is the minimum positive ratio? Which one? With respect to x4. So x4 will enter and s1 will go. S1 is the departing variable and x1 is the entering variable. Okay. So with respect to that, what is the key element? Key element will be minus 1/3. Minus 1/3. So what will happen? If this is the key element, in the next row, next simplex table, this minus 1/3 will be how much? It is reciprocal. How much? Minus 1/3. Reciprocal how much?
Minus 3.
3. Minus 3. So this amount divided by all the row elements. So this is minus 3 and this will be 2. Minus 2/3 divided by minus 1/3. That is 2. And right hand side minus 2/3 divided by minus 1/3. That is also 2. Okay. So this row. And with respect to the column, what will happen? This,
Negative of the division.
yes. Negative. This is minus 1. That is this divided by this with a minus sign. So this minus minus plus and there is minus sign. This is minus 1 and this is how much? The plus 1 and so on. This will be minus
1.
minus plus. There is 1. So same thing, other thing as per the methods. So this will be the table. You can see here. This I think it was minus 3. No, it is not 3. It is minus 3. Yes, isn't it? It's 3 becoming 1/3. Minus 1/3 is becoming reciprocal. No, this is 3. It will be minus 3. Please remember. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Rest will be like this. Now, in this table, let us conclude. What is the value of x2? 2. That is integer. What is the value of x1? 1. That is integer. What is the value of x4? That is 2, integer. And what is the value of z? That is 13. So h1, the basic variable, that is 0. x3, the basic variable, 0. So that is the optimal solution. So using the dual simplex method, we got the optimal solution. Is it all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So x1 equal to 1, optimal. x2 equal to 2, okay, and z star equal to 13. One minute. Hello? Please. I have received it. 4:30, no? 4:30. 4:30 I will come. Join. Okay, 4:30. So before 5 minutes I will join. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I will just give you a few problems. Okay, maybe today or tomorrow is holiday. Okay, so today itself I will send. So you can try all these problems. So next method is the branch and bound method. Okay, branch and bound method. Okay, so how to branch and how to put some bound. Okay, the name itself is meaningful, branch and bound. How to branch, and so see here we may use any algorithm, or you may use the graphical method also sometimes to demonstrate. Okay, this. So for the classroom purpose, 2 variable problem is enough. Okay, this. Here also we can solve maximization type problem. We can solve minimization type problem. The constant may be equal type, can be less than equal type, can be greater than equal type, and the some variables are integer. Okay, this. And the coefficients, Cj, the technological coefficient Aj, and target value Bi, all are integer. Okay, this is the. So solve the integer program problem by graphical method. Give 2 variables. Solve by simplex method, dropping the integer restriction. Okay, generally we do like this. So what we have seen in the last problem, we are solving by simplex method. Okay, even it is 2 variable problem, because we have to develop a cutting plane. Okay, so here also, if you solve using the graphical method or by simplex method, how to develop the branching rule and bound rule, that we'll discuss. Okay, this. Solve the integer programming problem by graphical method. Okay. So once you are solving by graphical method or by simplex method, so we simply forget the integer restriction. Okay. So let xj be an integer variable whose optimal value is fractional. Earlier we have taken, so we got x1 equal to 5/3 or x2 equal to 5/3. Okay. Once you are saying 5/3, it is not a whole number. It has some fractional part. Okay. So here also similarly, if you are considering a integer variable, it is supposed to be integer, but if it is not integer, it has a fractional, it has some fractional part. Now we will consider in this manner. So with respect to the xj, there's some variable xj, this xj, so what we have obtained, this xj is less than equal to the, what the value we have got, that is the integral part of xj plus 1, and this xj is greater than, so integral part of xj. Okay, this, the star stands for the presently you got a fractional value. Okay, 5/3. So 5/3 means you can write this xj less than integral part of 5/3 is 1 plus 1. How much it is? 1 plus 1, 2. And this side?
1.
xj less than 2 and xj greater than 1. Okay. So see here, this xj less than 2 greater than 1. In between these 2 and 1, in 2 and 1, Is there any other integer solution?
No.
This interval cannot include any solution which is integer. Please, this is a basic principle. This xj cannot include any solution which is integer, because this side xj less than 2 and greater than 1. Okay, in between 1 and 2 there is no integral solution. Okay, hence what we conclude, this xj we will write, so cannot include any solution which is integer. Hence you can write a feasible integral value of xj must satisfy the complement. What is that? This xj must be greater than or equal to xj, the integral part, plus 1. It is less than what? The complement is this, and this is one of them. And what is the other one? Other one is this, or xj less than or equal to xj, the integral part of xj. This, either this or that. If it cannot include any integer, then what is the possibility? A feasible integral value must satisfy either this or that. Now, what we have done? We have put some. This is the upper bound, lower bound. Then using this bound here, we are branching. Okay. Now, so this problem, this single variable, so will branch. So two parts. Left hand side one branch, right hand side other branch. Okay, in this manner. Okay. Branch and bound by imposing the constraint 2.7 and 2.8, what you discussed, to the original linear programming problem, we find two mutually exclusive LP problem. Okay. LP problem. Hence, the problem is branched into two sub-problems. The optimal value of the objective function z for the non-integer can be like this. Okay, here. Okay, this. I will show you the example so that you can have better understanding. Okay, this example you see here. This is the problem, right? This is the problem. I think it is same problem what we have taken earlier. Yes or no? So with respect to this problem, we are solving using the graphical method. This problem we are naming as P1. Okay, P1, and this P1, the decision variable is, what is the P and P1? P1 decision variables are all integer, and P1 P decision variables are all integer, and P1 is decision variables are fractional. Okay, this is the difference. Okay, so with respect to this, we are solving. Okay, same rule, simplex method. Okay, so we got the solution this. Okay, this one. Now, which is the largest fractional part? X2 or X1? X1. Okay, we are taking X1. So with respect to X1, so we are considering our X1. The value is 5 by 3. That is 1 plus 2 by 3. So X2 is 4 by 3. 1 plus 1 by 3. Okay, the value is like this. So now you see, when you say we are considering presently X1, the decision variable X1 star equal to 5 by 3. Star means the present value, the optimal value. So we can write X1 less than or equal to 5 by 3 plus 1, and X1 greater than or equal to 5 by 3. Okay, this integral part. So in this interval we are getting. So there is no integral solution in this interval. Hence, X1 is less than or equal to 1, or X1 is greater than or equal to 2. Okay, the complement this. So now we have two different problems. So sir,
this way constraints can be added continuously until we get integer answer, because suppose again we get fractional part then.
Yes, that is the things you are very early, you are able to guess what is. So from P we have two different problems, P1 and P2. Okay, now see here. From P we are making two different problems. What is the problem? So the original problem, one constant you are adding, that is X1 less than or equal to 1, that is P2. The original problem, another constant you are adding, X1 greater than or equal to 2. Okay, right? Original problem is P1. Now you are adding one more constant, X1 less than or equal to 1. Then with P1 you are adding another constant, that is X1 greater than or equal to 2. So two different problems. So if you are solving this problem, you see here. So what is the solution? So solution is x1 equal to 1, x2 equal to 2, z equal to 13. Okay. So once you got integer solution, you stop it. So P3 also will solve. So when you're solving P3, that is also integer, but this is a maximization type problem. Which one is better, P2 or P3? That is P2. So in case you find one of them is infeasible or unbounded. So infeasible or unbounded, you forget. You will not again branch or put bound. Okay, this is gone. Okay, so here we are finding the optimal solution is 13 and x1 equal to 1, x2 equal to 2.
Sir, one question.
Yes.
So basically we are finding maxima here, right? So suppose wherever the z value is optimal maximum, there again we get a fractional part. So we approach it in that direction or the other direction?
You started with x1, okay?
Yes, sir.
You started with x1. I'm telling you. So you started with x1 and you find, let us say both the branches of P2 and P3 both are getting so infeasible or unbounded. So what we'll do? So one more branch is left out. Okay, that is x2. So we will again explore the x2. We'll see. Okay. So here, see, the problem is given, solve. It is not an infeasible problem. It is a feasible problem. So feasible problem, you know the property. So it has to be feasible. So now see this problem. This is the P1. P1 we find the decision variables are all what? X1 equal to 5 by 3, x2 equal to 4 by 3. This is z. Okay. So this is since non-integer. We will consider branching with respect to what? X1 or x2. In fact, you can consider anyone, but generally thumb rule say consider the largest fractional part, which is largest fraction. That is x1 has the largest fractional parts, so x1 is considered. So what is the branching rule here? So x1 is less than or equal to 1 and x1 is greater than or equal to 2. So two different branches. P1 plus this is P2. P1 plus another one, this is P3. Two different problems. So we find here both a solution. One has 13, another is 10. So we considered the which is maximum solution, that is the optimal solution. Okay, this. So
sir, that part understood. I'm asking, suppose now branching is needed. Suppose there's such a problem where branching is needed in the second step after this. So this time, do we branch again on both sides?
yes. There may be a chance that with respect to second one, you may have more solution, better solution. Okay. So
yes, sir, I got it. So my main question is, so we'll branch and now 4 problems we have to solve, right? So should we solve on the side with the higher optima or the lower optima, or the
higher? See, already you got 10. Okay. So 10, if you branch for the non-integer, it is, let us say 11. Okay. If you branch, it will be further less. So we will not consider that one. See, Z2 and Z3. You see here, that is the rule. Okay. Z2 and Z3. Which is better? Z2. Let us say this is 13.1. This is 10.1. Okay. So you will consider this or that. We will consider the first one, not second one. Okay. This. Now
and
come
sir,
to the
solve on the. We'll solve on the side which has higher z value because this is a linear
that
problem. So maxima will be
that is the common sense. Okay, so it's a common. All the thumb rules are from the common sense. Okay, right? So
yes,
now
yes.
see this problem. Example 2. Okay, you can also without going earlier, you can find the answer. Okay, this is the problem. So with respect to this example 2, now P1. X1 equal to 11 2, x2 equal to 0, z1 equal to 55. Okay, this. So this is the largest fractional part only. So we will branch it accordingly. X1 greater than equal to 6, x1 less than equal to 5. So with respect to this, it is not feasible, infeasible. Forget. Once it is infeasible, so we will not be able to branch. This x1 less than equal to 5. Now, so original problem with this constant added, that is the new problem. New problem is P2. Now P2 we are solving. So x1 equal to 5, x2 equal to 1 by 5. Okay, this. Now you branch with respect to x2. So x1, x2 greater than less than equal to 0, one branch, another is x2 greater than equal to 1. So what is happening to this? So this is giving integer solution. Solution is 31 and this is also giving integer solution. It is 50. Which one will be considered? So now everything you completed. Okay, so that is more. This is maximization type problem. So 50 is the answer. Okay, but if it is minimization type, so 31 is the answer. Okay, that's all. Branching is not needed. Optimal solution is this. Example 3. Okay, see here.
Sir, one more doubt.
Yes.
Sir, both, suppose first problem P1, when you solve, both variables that are there are fractional, then how do you pick the branching variable?
Repeat it again.
Sir, how to pick the branching variable if both variables are fractional?
And both has the same value.
No, not same value, but both are fractional.
Largest fractional part. Say,
Oh,
let us say, okay.
Sorry, yes.
So one is 3.5, another is 4 and 1/3. Okay, right? So largest is half, so you consider. If both are same, now it is you are free to choose anyone. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right? These slides I think already have sent to you the integer program.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Eh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So some problems are there. I'll send. Okay. And you say that dual simplex method, all these things. Okay.
So that also we got. I checked the email.
Means you are not checking the mail regularly. See,
Yes, sir.
all the mails, whatever I'm sending, it is, there is a backup in my email ID. So my email, they are saying it is 99% full. Okay. So sometimes some mails are not coming to me also, right? And I have created mail ID for 2020, 2021, 2022 like this. Okay. So you can see how many mail ID I'll check daily. Imagine. So I cannot check. Okay. I will only check only one email ID, that is IIT mail. Other mail I cannot check. How can I check? So which mail? That is the reason I'm asking which mail ID you have sent. You have to. Okay. This. So this is the prime mail ID, and I should not keep it. Some space should be there. Okay. See, when I'm dumping the file in the MS Team, many are not watching, many are not searching. So they don't wait, they don't bother also. They simply say that I have not received anything. Right? Okay, thank you. We'll stop here. So tomorrow is a holiday, no? Okay, Saraswati Puja. So try to Goddess Saraswati to, for the betterment of your this year. Okay, so successfully you should complete, and next June, July you should reach IIT Kharagpur. Okay, for the next semester. Okay, thank you. I hope successfully from the autumn semester class will start at IIT, isn't it? You are hoping, all are hoping, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, let us. Okay, so please take care. Okay, thank you.